The Humble bicycle is an incredibly efficient system. It is, without a doubt, one of the most efficient ever. It takes your input and turns it into forward momentum. It needs nothing else but your own energy. If you're looking to improve that efficiency further, it might be that you're a bike racer or you're looking to optimize how much speed you can get from your bike, then a great place to start is with the drive chain. In fact, the drive chain is so efficient that a study by Johns Hopkins University has found that the efficiency transferred from the chainring to the cassette can be as high as 98.6%. Okay, so that study, it wasn't perfect. It was conducted in a clean laboratory environment. Whereas if you're in the real world, somewhere where there are far more factors to impede efficiency, it's much more likely that you will get around 80% transfer of efficiency from the chainring to the cassette. Now, all that serves to do is prove that there are many ways in which you can improve your drive chain efficiency, and we're perhaps all too guilty of leaping for an expensive upgrade when we should in fact be focusing on our humble drive chain. So, in this video, I'm going to run through some ways that you can improve the efficiency of your bike's drive chain. If you want to improve the efficiency of your drive chain, then you need to think big. It seems that when a chain wraps around a larger sprocket, and by sprocket we mean chainring at the front of your drive chain in this instance, the smaller angles created between each link reduces friction. And when you reduce friction, you improve efficiency. So in terms of crankset sizing, a 5236 or a 5339 is more efficient than a compact 5034. Using a bigger crankset will mean that you can increase efficiency for the same speed at any given wattage. Of course, the phrase push a big gear exists for a reason, and riding with a 5236 or a 5339 is going to be harder than if you're using a 5034, and there will be a period of adjustment should you switch to these larger gears. When we talk about gear sizing and efficiency, a point of contention that is always raised is your chain line. Now by chain line we mean the angle of your chain when it's on the biggest chainring at the front and the largest cassette at the back. This is also known as cross-chaining and is considered inefficient. One thing that is important to consider is how your chain line might affect the wear and tear of your components. And cross-chaining might artificially introduce greater amounts of stretch to your chain that will make it less efficient than it would be if it didn't have this. And of course, wear and tear on your components can be expensive too, so it's worth weighing up whether the ultimate efficient drive chain is worth it in the cost of unnatural wear on your parts. All things to consider when trying to pull together the most efficient drive chain possible. Simply put, the more tension that your chain is under, the more efficient your drive chain system. And how do you improve tension in your chain, I hear you ask? Well, that comes down to your pedaling efficiency. Now that might sound strange, surely a chain is just as tense as a chain is, whereas actually that's not quite the case. Chain tension is directly linked to pedaling efficiency, and the more evenly you can apply power through your pedal stroke, the more uniform the chain tension is kept, and thus the more efficient your drive chain. Pedaling efficiency is key to improving your performance, and it's why you'll see or hear so many people talking about left-right power outputs and getting a 50-50 balance. This is where they've got 50 on the left and 50 on the right. There is no weakness between the two. That's because a more stable pedaling rotation will increase a uniform chain tension. It's also why you'll see so many pros practicing cadence drills, because a pro needs to be as efficient as possible when they're racing. Now going back to that study we spoke about at the start, they actually found the type of lubricant you use to be of minimal effect inside a laboratory environment. That means that the difference between wet, dry, ceramic, it didn't make any difference to the efficiency of a drive chain. However, what is important here is that again they were talking about a laboratory environment, one that is pristine and clean. We know that in the real world, our drive chains are subject to multiple contaminants that will kill or wear our drive chains if we leave them unchecked. Lubricants are really important here because they provide a barrier that prevents dirt from getting into our components. Now, despite what that study said earlier, you should definitely choose your lubricant based on your riding factors. If you ride somewhere where it is always wet, you should definitely go for a wet lubricant that will not wash off as quickly. If you're riding in the dry or it's summertime, then a dry or ceramic lubricant is going to be the best for you. Just bear in mind that these will wear off of components quicker and will need replacing more often. Now, of course, this is all null and void if we aren't taking proper care of our drive chains, and a regular and diligent cleaning and degreasing is necessary to keep them running at their optimum. After all, we all know that a drive chain covered in that black gunk is not going to be very quick at all. So I briefly touched on this earlier in the video, but it goes without saying that one of the number one things you should definitely do if you want to keep your drive chain as efficient as possible is keep an eye on your chain's wear. So tests undertaken by Friction Facts have shown that chains can increase in 2 watts of friction for every 1% of elongation or chain stretch. However, it is also worth noting that a brand new chain should be completely degreased and re-lubed before you set off on your first ride with it, and that chains can actually have a period of bedding in before they become their most efficient. So there you go. In a world where every watt counts, we hope these have been some helpful hints in helping you work out how to improve the efficiency of your drive chain. So maybe try that clean chain, or perhaps put on some bigger gears. You never know what type of efficiency gains you might find. So if you have liked this video, then please do give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more great content. Feel free to leave us a comment in the comment section below, or ask a question. We'll do our best to answer it, and keep your eyes peeled for more great content coming up soon. But until then, we'll see you next time.